Such were the old suspicions that 12 banks were established instead of one. St. Louis, for example, Philadelphia, New York, with a central authority in Washington, the Federal Reserve Board. The power of the central authority was weak and undefined, and the regional banks wished to assert, where possible, their claim to financial acuity and eminence, to prove that St. Louis, San Francisco, Richmond was a place of financial consequence. This wish was especially strong here in New York, surely the financial capital. On the whole, until 1935, when Washington authority was affirmed, power was here at the New York Reserve Bank. Until then, it was troublesome not knowing who was in charge. More serious was an early instinct for doing whatever made economic conditions worse. In the years following World War I, there was serious speculation in commodities and farmland, the great boom of 1919-1920. Federal Reserve, pressed by the Treasury, kept credit easy, provided funds for that speculation. And after the collapse, it tightened up, helped make the resulting depression more painful to all. Then in 1927, as the great stock market boom was getting underway, it eased credit, opened the door to the boom, and thus to the great stock market crash of 1929. The Depression years revealed another defect. This in the theory by which a central bank was expected to manage the economy. Slowly, interest rates were lowered, eventually to 1.5% here at the New York Bank. And after some delay, government bonds were bought in the open market, and the banks were made flush with unused cash. All that remained was for borrowers to borrow, banks to lend. And alas, they didn't. Reserves, gold, simply piled up as here in the banks and the reserve banks. The Depression was too serious. Why borrow if you couldn't make money? Why lend if the borrower was likely to go broke? And without the willingness of the borrowers to borrow, lenders to lend, the gold reserves lay dead. The Federal Reserve couldn't increase the money supply, stimulate spending, ease the Depression. It was helpless. Obviously, something remained to be learned about the management of money.
Tables down at Maurice, to the place where Louis dwells, to the dear old Temple Bar.
Not many will think that this scene presupposes a serious approach to learning. Strange things happen. Yale University was the home of one of the two greatest modern students of money.
With their glasses raised on high.
This was Irving Fisher, and money canes called him my earliest teacher. He showed that the study of money doesn't make everyone a conformist. Fisher, a neat, slender, handsome man with a patrician manner and a beautifully trimmed beard, was many things. He was a learned mathematician, a successful inventor, a disastrous speculator, and a committed improver of the human race. He invented this simple index system, which he then manufactured himself and later sold it at a handsome price to Remington Rand. In the late 1920s, Fisher went heavily into the stock market. And in the crisis, he lost between $8 and $10 million, a sizable sum even for an economics professor. Here in this room and elsewhere in Yale, Fisher pioneered in the development of index numbers. When you read that the consumer's price index has gone up or the cost of living index has gone up, it's Fisher you have ultimately to thank. He pioneered also in mathematical economics. Fisher's greatest contribution, however, was to our understanding of money. He showed in one simple formula what determines its value.